Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's get started with today's story. Friday nights in our little house on Maple Street in Charlotte used to be my favorite thing in the world. Good bourbon, bad poker hands, and friends who knew when to shut up and when to roast you. That night it was just four of us around the kitchen table: me, my wife Lauren, my buddy from the office Trent, and Lauren's college bestie Nicole. The cards were out, the playlist was chill, and Trent was halfway through some ridiculous story about a client who tried to pay an invoice in Bitcoin and Chick-fil-A coupons when Lauren threw back the last of her rose and let out that laugh, the one that only comes out after glass number 4. "Jesus, Trent," she said, slapping the table, "you act like you've never been humiliated." Trent grinned. Not the way Ethan gets when anybody brings up bedroom confidence. I cocked an eyebrow. "Come on, man." He shrugged, all innocent. "You know how it is. Quiet guys always shock the room. Size, stamina, whatever." The girls howled. I rolled my eyes. I'd heard worse. I figured that was the end of it. Then Lauren leaned in, eyes glassy, that wicked little smirk I hadn't seen in months crawling across her face. "Oh honey," she said, looking straight at me, voice dripping, "if we're talking size, my ex Derek absolutely destroys you." Dead. Silence. Nicole's wineglass froze an inch from her lips. Trent suddenly found the label on his beer bottle fascinating. Lauren realized the bomb had left her mouth a half-second too late and tried to laugh it off. "Kidding. Totally kidding, babe. Lighten up." But the damage was done. The air in the room turned thick as tar. I set my glass down slow, the clink loud in the quiet. "Lauren," I said, calm enough that her smile died instantly, "you really shouldn't brag about Derek." She blinked, confused. "Why the hell not?" "Because if you knew what I know," I said, easing back in my chair, "you'd never say his name again." Nicole's eyes went wide. Trent looked like he was calculating how fast he could bolt for the door. Lauren's face drained of color. "Ethan, what are you talking about? You never even met Derek." I let the silence stretch just long enough for her pulse to hammer in her throat. "That's where you're wrong, sweetheart. I met him 3 years ago. Downtown Hyatt. Charlotte Medical Summit. Ring any bells?" Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I smiled, small and cold. "You sure you want me to tell the table the rest? Because once I start, there's no putting this genie back in the bottle." End of part 1, want part 2. Lauren's wine-flushed cheeks went ghost white under the kitchen lights. "Ethan, stop. Whatever you think you know, just stop." Her voice cracked on the last word, like she already felt the floor dropping out. Trent cleared his throat, half standing. "Hey, maybe Nick and I should sit," I said, not loud, just final. Saturday. Nicole looked like she was watching a car crash in slow motion, unable to look away. Lauren's hands were shaking now. "You're bluffing. You're trying to get back at me for a stupid drunk joke." "Am I?" I asked. I took a slow sip of bourbon, let it burn, set the glass down. "You remember that week 3 years ago when I told you I was stuck late every night at the Hyatt for that hospital compliance contract?" She nodded once, tiny, scared. "I wasn't stuck in meetings the whole time. One night I went down to the lobby bar to clear my head. And there he was. Your perfect Derek. Same cocky jawline from the photos you used to keep in that shoebox under the bed. Same $3,000 watch you bragged he bought himself after his first big promotion." Lauren's breathing went shallow. "He was at the bar arguing with some resident, 20-something kid with a clipboard and tears in his eyes. I heard the tail end, something about you promised you'd fix the records, you hung me out to dry." Derek looked like a man staring at the edge of a cliff. Then the kid stormed off. Derek just stood there, tie loosened, looking smaller than any picture you ever showed me. I leaned forward, elbows on the table. That's when I walked up and said, "Rough night, Doc." He turned, saw my face, and went dead still. Because he knew exactly who I was. He said my name before I even opened my mouth again. "You're Ethan. Lauren's husband." Like he'd been expecting me for years. Nicole whispered, "Oh my God." Trent wouldn't even blink. Lauren tried one last time. "You're lying. Derek would have told me if he didn't tell you shit, Lauren. Because the story he sold you, the one where he left because we wanted different things and he didn't want to hold you back, was complete and total bullshit." I let that land like a hammer. Turns out your legendary ex wasn't the hotshot cardiologist riding the fast track to chief of surgery. He was one whistleblower away from losing his license. Falsified surgical logs. Botched procedures he buried with NDAs and threats. A trail of residents and nurses he bullied into silence. That kid at the bar? He was about to become the latest name on a very long list. Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. Derek sat down next to me, ordered a double Macallan he couldn't even drink because his hands were shaking too hard, and spilled his entire miserable life in 20 minutes. Begged me, Ethan, not to tell you. Said you deserved the hero version of him, not the coward who ran. I looked her dead in the eyes. So for 3 years I kept my mouth shut. Carried it. Smiled when you brought him up. Let you paint me as the safe runner-up to your ghost. But tonight? Tonight you put my dick on the table in front of our friends like it was open mic night. I stood up slowly. So now you get to hear what your big ex sounds like when he's small, terrified, and finally honest. Lauren was crying now, silent tears sliding down her face. Ethan, please don't do this here. Too late, babe. You opened the door. Now we all walk through it. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a contact I'd saved 3 years ago and never used. Or I said, thumb hovering over the call button, we can let Derek tell you himself. Right now. Live on speaker. Your call. The kitchen went so quiet I could hear her heartbeat. Lauren stared at my phone like it was a loaded gun pressed to her temple. Ethan, don't, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Just put it down. I didn't move my thumb. Say the word and I hang up before it even rings. Or we end the fairy tale right now. Your choice. Nicole had both hands over her mouth. Trent looked like he was praying the floor would swallow him. Lauren's tears were falling fast now, splashing onto the table. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her sweater, then gave the tiniest nod. Do it, she said, voice breaking. I need to hear it from him. I hit call. Speaker on. Set the phone in the middle of the table like we were summoning a demon. IT rang twice. A cautious male voice answered. Hello. I kept my tone flat. Derek. It's Ethan. Lauren's husband. Dead silence on the line, then a shaky exhale. Jesus Christ. Ethan, look, whatever she's right here, Derek. You're on speaker. Trent and Nicole too. Friday night cards got interesting. Another long pause. I could almost hear his career flashing before his eyes. Lauren leaned forward, voice raw. Derek, is it true? Everything Ethan just said. Did you lie to me about why you left? A bitter laugh crackled through the speaker. Lauren, baby. I never wanted you to find out like this. Just answer the damn question. She snapped, surprising all of us. Yes, he said quietly. It's true. All of it. I wasn't the man you thought I was. I was drowning. Lawsuits coming, board investigations, people I'd screwed over ready to talk. I bailed on you because I knew the second the truth came out, you'd look at me exactly the way you're looking at Ethan right now. And I was too much of a coward to watch that happen. Lauren made this wounded sound, half sob, half scream. Derek kept going, voice cracking. Ethan sat there that night in the Hyatt bar and listened to me fall apart. Didn't judge, didn't threaten to tell you, just listened. Then he shook my hand and said, she deserves to remember you as the hero. I'll keep your secret. I've never forgotten that decency. I sure as hell didn't deserve it. He took a ragged breath. Lauren, I'm sorry. I used you to feel clean for a little while. That's on me. You deserved the truth back then, and you deserve it now. Blame me. Not him. The call went quiet except for Lauren's crying. Then Derek added, so low we almost missed it, tell Ethan thank you. For protecting you longer than I ever did. I ended the call. The kitchen was a tomb. Lauren dropped her head into her hands and sobbed like someone had died. Nicole reached for her, but Lauren flinched away. I stood up, chair scraping loud in the silence. Trent, Nick. I think we're done for tonight. They didn't argue. Coats, quiet goodbyes, the front door clicked shut behind them. It was just me and the woman who'd spent years measuring me against a ghost, only now the ghost had finally shown up and bled all over her pedestal. Lauren looked up at me, mascara tracks down her cheeks. I didn't know, she whispered. I really didn't know. I do know that now, I said. Question is, what do we do with what's left? She had no answer. And for the first time in our marriage, the silence wasn't mine to fill. Lauren didn't sleep that night. She sat on the couch in the dark, knees pulled to her chest, staring at Derek's final text, the one he sent right after I hung up. I'm sorry for the mess I left you to clean up. You were the best thing I ever had, and I threw it away to save myself. Ethan's a better man than I ever was. I hope someday you see that. She read it over and over until the screen went black, then turned it back on and read it again. That I slept in the guest room. First time ever. The next morning she was already at the kitchen island when I came down, eyes swollen, coffee cold in front of her. I'll do anything, she said before I even poured a cup. Therapy, separate bedrooms, whatever you need. Just don't leave. I looked at her for a long time. This isn't about punishment, Lauren. It's about whether I still want to be married to someone who needed a drunk joke to finally hear me. She flinched like I'd slapped her. For weeks she tried. Couples counseling 3 times a week. She quit wine cold turkey. Deleted every old photo of Derek she still had hidden in the cloud. Started saying I'm proud of you when I closed a deal, instead of the old half-smile that always said yeah, but Derek would have closed it faster. But every time she touched me it felt like charity. Every I love you sounded like damage control. I started staying late at the office just to breathe. One Thursday she waited up until I got home at midnight. She was on the couch again, same spot, holding a glass of water this time. Ethan, she said quietly, ask me the question you've never asked. I knew exactly what she meant that I sat down across from her. Did you marry me because you loved me, or because Derek vanished and I was the guy who showed up on time? Her eyes filled instantly. She didn't look away. Both, she whispered. I did love you. I do. But yeah, part of me settled. And I hated myself for it, so I kept him on a throne so I could pretend I hadn't. The honesty hit harder than any fight we could have had. She kept going. I thought if I kept comparing you out loud, it would hurt less that I'd lost the big love. Turns out it just made me cruel. Silence stretched between us like a canyon. Finally she asked the question herself, are we done? I didn't answer for the longest 10 seconds of our marriage. Yeah, I said. We are. She nodded once, slow, like she'd known it was coming for weeks and had just been waiting for me to be brave enough to say no screaming. No throne plates. Just 2 people who finally ran out of ways to lie to each other. We filed 3 weeks later. She insisted I keep the house, I'm the one who broke it. Moved into a 1-bedroom in Noda with boxes she packed herself while I was at work. The day we signed the papers at the courthouse, she hugged me in the parking lot afterward, quick and fierce. I'm proud of the man you are, Ethan. I mean that. I just wish I'd noticed sooner. I hugged her back. Take care of yourself, Laure. We let go and walked to our separate cars. 3 months later, I had the crew over again, Trent, Nicole, a couple guys from work. Same kitchen table, new cards, better bourbon. Someone asked about dating horror stories. Everyone laughed, waiting for me to drop the mother of all bombs that I just shrugged, dealt the next hand. Nothing worth dragging into this house, I said. They moved on. Later that night, a text popped up from an old number I hadn't deleted. Lauren, working on myself. Therapy's brutal but good. Hope you're happy. You deserve it. Thank you for the years. I'm sorry I wasted so many of them that I stared at the screen a minute, then typed back, heal well, Lauren. Then I deleted the thread, poured one last drink and turned off the porch light. The house felt bigger. Quieter. Mine. 6 months later, on a random Tuesday in October, I walked out of the gym downtown and almost ran straight into Lauren. She looked different. Healthier. Hair shorter, eyes clearer, no wine flush on her cheeks. She had a yoga mat slung over one shoulder and a paper coffee cup in her hand. For a second we both just stopped on the sidewalk like the city had hit pause. Hey, she said first, soft smile, no desperation in it. Hey yourself. Awkward beat. Then she laughed, small and real. I'm not stalking you, I swear. New studio opened 2 doors down. I believe you. We stood there while Charlotte traffic rolled past. She shifted her weight, then met my eyes. I owe you one more sorry. The kind that doesn't come with a fix-it plan attached. I was cruel. I diminished you for years to protect a fantasy I didn't even have the full story on. You didn't deserve a single second of it. I nodded. I know that now. Took me a while to believe it, but I know. She glanced at the gym bag over my shoulder. You look good. Happy looks good on you. Feels pretty good too. Another silence, comfortable this time. She bit her lip, then asked, anyone new? I smiled. Someone who's never heard the name Derek and never will. Early days, but yeah. Good days. Her eyes glistened for half a second, then she blinked it away and gave me the first genuine grin I'd seen from her in years. I'm really glad, Ethan. You. Therapy. Hot yoga. Learning how to be alone without being lonely. Turns out I'm pretty decent company when I'm not busy worshipping a ghost. We both laughed, quiet and easy. She raised her coffee cup in a little toast. To no more ghosts. I tapped my water bottle against it. To no more ghosts. She started to walk past me, then stopped. One last thing, she said, turning back. That night at the table, when I made that stupid drunken joke about size, I thought I was teasing. I thought I was being cute. Truth is, I was trying to make myself feel big by making you feel small. You turned out to be the biggest man in every room we were ever in together. I just couldn't see it through my own bullshit. I didn't have words for a second. Then I just said, "Thank you for saying that." She nodded, gave a little wave, and kept walking. I watched her go, ponytail swinging, shoulders lighter than I'd ever seen them. That night I grilled steaks on the back deck, music low, windows open to the cool air. No guests, no cards, no audience. Just me, the smoke, and a sky full of stars. My phone stayed quiet. No texts from exes. No shadows in the corners. Somewhere across town Lauren was probably in her little apartment, learning who she is when nobody's watching. And here I was, finally free of the measuring stick she used to carry around. Turns out the joke was never about size, it was about who was willing to stand tall. When the truth finally showed up, I raised my glass to the night, took a long sip and smiled. Game over. I won.